Good day, students. In this video we're going to cover how to remake your selfies that you have to take for ONT. So the first exercise we have done is just an introduction. We're going to be repeating this exercise and we're going to follow a very strict format and guide. Okay, but I'll provide more information in the instructions on what you need to achieve and where everything needs to be uploaded. Okay, the first thing you need to do is open up GIMP. Okay, so open up GIMP. Now the first thing you want to do before you start using GIMP is just kind of refine the tool area so you can see all the tools and not just some of the tools. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go to Edit, Preferences. Now if you're using the lab computers, you might have to do this every time. Okay, so just remember where this is. So if you go to Toolbox, and you see this function here, use toolbox groups, you're going to untick that and you see it will display all the tools. Okay, because it is quite annoying having these tools hidden in groups. Okay, so that's the first thing I'll do. Alright, so once GIMP's open and you've addressed and fixed your toolbox, the next thing you'll need to do is go File, New, you're going to create a new drawing, or a new image in essence. So it'll be 1080 by 1080p. Okay, I've provided a guide that you'll need to follow in terms of setting up these images to the correct size if you're going to post information on Instagram. So if you see in the class material, we'll go through it tomorrow, there's going to be a section where I'll give you a guide on how to set up these images correctly for Instagram. Okay, set up your resolution, so width and height. Okay, 1080 by 1080. Then for advanced options, just make sure it's 300 dpi for now. And then I'm just going to make it a transparent background. I'm going to press OK. Okay, here's our image. Okay, so once we've got our image started, what we'll need to do is I'm going to set up some guidelines very quickly that will help us when we are scaling our photo. It'll just help us set up the image a lot better. Okay. So I would encourage all of you to retake your photos in Studio, upload your photos, and then process them like I'm going to do them now. Okay, so once you've opened up your drawing, you've got the drawing to the correct size, you'll need to go to Image, and you're going to configure grid. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch some grids on, so it'll help us when scaling our image. This is critical. Okay, so what we'll need to do is we'll need to change the spacing, and you can see it's in pixels. Now in order to get this in thirds, I'm going to do a bit of math, so I'm going to open up the calculator. Okay, with my calculator open, so it's going to be 1080 divided by 3, and you see it's going to give us 360. So all that we need to do is type in 360, and it should automatically fill in the other side as well. You can unlink these and have different grids and different ratios for horizontal and vertical, but for now, that's all we need to do. Okay, so once everything's set, you're going to press OK. Now you're going to go to View, and now you need to say Show Grids. Okay, so Show Grids, now you should be able to see the grids. You can also switch on Snap to Grids, but for this example, it's not required. Okay, now what I want you to do is go and open, so in the pot you can simply close this window and you can open up a folder and you can drag and drop these images in. So that's one option. I'm going to show you an alternative option. So you can also go to File, Open as Layer. So this is quite neat because it opens it as a layer. So I've just put this on my desktop, workshop. Just remember where you're working, downloads. Okay, if you're battling to find this information, please let me know. I'll explain where you can find additional information. Okay, so if you can't find the image, then you just drag and drop it in. So I'm going to select the photo. Now you see it'll bring the photo in. Okay, now typically a lot of the photos you'll be taking in Studio will be a lot larger than the image size that we've got set up, especially if you're using a modern cell phone. Okay, what we want you to do now, please make sure that there's a neutral background. So we're going to set up a little studio, we're going to set up a little photo booth or an area in Studio where you can all stand and take your photos. We want these photos to look more like a passport photo. Okay, these are pretty boring, but this is the first part of the exercise, so I would like you to retake all the photos in Studio, process them again, follow this video, and then upload them to the correct folder. Okay. So once you've got your photo in again, so now you can simply go and find the scale tool, which is this tool over here. Okay, scale, and remember you want to play the occupancy, so make sure that you can see the background, so set your occupancy. Great, so once you've done that, now I can just start pulling these handles. Just make sure that your ratio is locked, or you can keep this checked. So if you you activate this keep aspect ratio, that's very important. And then remember Alt, so scale around center. Just remember, if you press Control on your keyboard and you use the, okay, so Control, okay, you can see Control will scale from corner, and if you release Control, it scales around the, okay, so that's just telling you that you've used Control, it disables that. So I'm going to scale around center, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this photo. So what I'm going to try and achieve here is to try and get the photo, I want to get this photo to work with this image size. And remember those bounding boxes, you want your photo to spill over the actual image size. So if I zoom in here, you'll see that the image is going past the boundary of that grid. So that's perfect. So I'm quite happy with this result, and you can see how these thirds are helping me align this photo. So this is the type of photo that we're looking for. We don't want any other information in the background. It's just so that we can recognize you. Okay, so this is very deliberate, and we use these photos to set up class lists, and we pin them up on the wall, especially if we're scheduling pin up exams, things like that. Okay, so once I've got the image to the correct size, I'm going to say scale. That's all I'm looking for. So this is great. So the next thing I want you to do is make sure that you go and crop this image. Okay, so you just simply right click on the layer, so right click, you're going to go and say layer, so layer to image size. So what it'll do is it'll crop all the information and make this layer match the image size that we've set up. Once we've done that, we're simply going to export this information. Now there's a very specific naming convention. Okay, so please, this is the naming convention that we're looking for. Okay, so you're going to use this naming convention. Alright, so I'm going to go File, Export As. So let's just double check. I'm just going to make this, so it'll be your first name, second name, and then student number. Okay, so I'm going to export this as a JPEG. So remember, File, Export As, File Extension Type, JPEG. But before we do that, I'm just going to double click and say okay, so first name, second name, I'm going to save this on my desktop back in this folder, and add extension, so JPEG. So just by clicking this, it adds .jpeg at the end. That's important. So I'm going to go export. Alright, so now it's exported this image. So we just want a very neutral background, just like this, so we can see who you are. Alright, so please rework your photos again, put them in the right folder. I'm also going to give you a folder. You're going to upload the photo twice. I'm making this a workshop, so you're going to upload them to me as well, and you're going to be uploading them to the OneDrive. Good luck.